Thanks so much for joining me on the WSAZ Plus desk. Good morning, everyone. Almost good afternoon. I'm Shannon Litton, just joining you again here on the WSAZ Plus desk to discuss the incoming weather that's still coming along. Of course, we were live with Emily Dietz around 10 this morning. If you're noticing my voice doesn't sound great, I promise I feel better than I sound. I have some warm water here to keep my throat a little bit relieved, but I am feeling okay. Of course, we want to get you the very latest. I want to bring in our meteorologist, Nicholas Snyder, now for the very latest on this. Nick, I know you guys have been tracking this for quite some time now. What are the changes looking like? What are we going to be expecting here?
Yeah, so first of all, Shannon, let's get some of that strain off your voice, and I'll do some talking for a little bit here.
Sounds good to me.
Let's take a look at our weather graphics right now. I want to show you kind of the radar picture that we're seeing over much of the central lowlands and into the southern plains, even the central plains of the United States. This is the winter storm right here. It's impacting now portions of the Memphis area, much of the Mississippi Valley, all the way up towards St. Louis, seeing a good amount of snow right now. The ice is in the pink right here. It's backed up all the way to Arkansas, northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, parts of Alabama getting in on that, and parts of southeastern Tennessee also getting on that. Snow is stretching all the way back from basically western Kentucky, not quite reaching the ground for Louisville just yet, but it should be reaching the ground within the next few hours out toward Louisville. But it's stretching basically from just west of Louisville all the way back into Colorado. So this is a very potent storm system, a very large storm system that's headed our way, and each individual circle that you're seeing over here is an individual snowfall report or freezing rain report. So I'll kind of zoom on into some of these, and we'll take a look at what exactly they're seeing on the ground right now. Parts of West Tennessee have seen very heavy snow at this point. So let's get the query up and show you what they're talking about here in parts of Tennessee. So already seeing 4 inches of snow on the ground as of 8 a.m. So they're likely seeing much more now in West Tennessee. This is a report from Ripley, Tennessee. Let's get that off of here. Let's take a look at Jonesboro, Arkansas. We have a sister station out there with a very famous meteorologist named Ryan Vaughn. They have 4.5 inches of snow on the ground, and that was at 7:45 a.m. Central Time. Remember, they're an hour behind us. So at 7:45 a.m. Central Time, that would be 8:45 a.m. Eastern Time, and that was about, let's say, 3 hours ago. So they likely have much more snow on the ground down there in Jonesboro, Arkansas at this point. Let's take that off. Let's look at this report out of Covington, Tennessee right here. This is a report of 2 inches of snow as of 7:39 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And again, that will change likely because they've seen continued amounts of snow. Let's go further to the south toward the Memphis area. We have a sister station, WMC, down there. My old chief meteorologist in Idaho actually works down there. I've been in contact with him to see what they're seeing right now. But 1.8 inches of snow as of 7:18 a.m. So again, these are around the 8 a.m. time frame, our local time. I'm trying to get a more updated report for you so we have something there. So let me try and see if we can get that. This is a report as of 6 a.m. Central Time. And of course, a few freezing rain reports down here in northern Mississippi. These should be more recent because they just have changed over. So sleet accumulation of about 1 inch as of 6 a.m. Central Time. That's quite a bit of sleet that has fallen down there. And again, that was about 5 hours ago this morning. So a very heavy precipitation indeed over in that general area. Let's look back toward Little Rock, Arkansas. Again, lots of snow reports over here. Snow reports going all the way back to Oklahoma. And, of course, freezing rain and ice storm reports all the way back to Texas, where they're likely going to be seeing some power disruptions over there in Texas due to a deep freeze that's coming in. Again, parts of Kansas, I should say, seeing a lot of snow reports as well. And it's all pointed in our direction over the next few hours or so. So let's again take a closer look at our watches and warnings here. Winter storm warning is in place until Monday morning. That's in the pink. That's for everyone across the area. We're going to start as all snow. The snow is not going to start for another 4 hours in our area. It should take its time getting here, but let's say around the 4 p.m. time frame, if you're in Prestonsburg, Pikeville toward Inez, you're going to start to be seeing that snow beginning to fall. And then later overnight tonight, we're going to see a changeover from a snow to more of a sleet or freezing rain, depending on where you are. Now, further to the north, that is a bit delayed. Up in southern Ohio, we should remain all snow. So for those of us in Athens, MacArthur, Jackson, Ohio, Waverly, Piketon, down to Portsmouth, for the most part, you should be all snow. We could see a little bit of sleet trying to cut in on some of those totals in Portsmouth, but again, generally you're talking all snow with a minor amount of sleet trying to mix in over there in Portsmouth. A major ice storm is to be expected. I'll highlight it in a red circle here so you can really get an idea. Basically south of Lexington into London, Kentucky, through Louisa, Kentucky, up Corridor G, and especially down the West Virginia Turnpike, even into that general area right here. This is where that ice is expected to really set up and cause some major issues for a lot of us in that red zone. And that's going to be a big deal because we could lose power, and it could create some issues as we head into, let's say, next week when Arctic cold will be set to move in. So let's time everything out for you. Again, I've been talking about when everything should begin to start. And I'll move this back. I'll take this a little bit slower so it's easier to kind of see what exactly we'll be seeing. So let's take this back. This starts at 4 p.m. Notice where most of the snow is. It's back to the west toward Pikeville, toward Louisa, the Ashland area into eastern Kentucky. Much of West Virginia not seeing that precipitation just yet. Moving this forward now toward about 6 p.m. This is when I really don't advise travelers to be out on the roadways, especially in much of areas in West Virginia and eastern Kentucky, because that is when things are really going to start to be heavy, especially down into the coal fields. Notice those deep blue colors down toward Prestonsburg and Pikeville. That's going to be a whole lot of snow coming down rather quickly, so we don't want too many people out on the roadways after 6 p.m. Fast forwarding now to about, let's say, the 10 or 11 p.m. time frame. I want you to notice if you're in Pikeville, if you're in Prestonsburg, Inez, you're starting to see that changeover from a snow to a sleet or a freezing rain. Meanwhile, the I-64 corridor in southern Ohio totally enveloped with all snow at that point in time. Going forward even further, let's pause this at about 3 to 4 a.m. This is going to be a close call here. Parts of, let's say, the Charleston area, south of I-64 and I-79, that's where we could be seeing that freezing rain starting to mix over. Areas basically south of I-64 and I-79 going to be starting to see that changeover from an all snow to a sleet or a freezing rain, and that's where totals are going to be cut into. Meanwhile, if you're in the coal fields of eastern Kentucky, Louisa, Inez, if you're over toward, let's say, Paintsville, Prestonsburg, down towards Salyersville, you're talking a major ice storm. Same thing for Williamson, Logan, Madison, the Beckley areas, all the way up towards Summersville. Again, this is a major ice storm. This is where we're going to be seeing very, very tricky travel and pretty much impassable roadways at this point, because the ice will be coming down quickly, accumulation is going to be quickly, and up to a ½ inch of ice could disrupt power and cause a lot of disruptions for a lot of us. Now, moving this forward, this is a new development in some of our models. Let's pause this at around 10 a.m. I want you to notice those of us in West Virginia, especially Charleston westward into the lowlands, Big Sandy Valley, and much of the coal fields of eastern Kentucky, we switched to a brief period of all rain. This might help mitigate some of the ice impacts, which would be good news for a lot of us. We'll have to see. A lot of our new data has suggested this warm air creeping a little bit further to the north compared to where it was yesterday. There hasn't been much change in our observations compared to some of the other data that has come in. So I'm not sure if this warm air is actually going to be doing this, but a lot of the data has been suggesting it. So it's a notable trend, and we are in a period of rain for Huntington and Charleston for a little while. Sunday 11 a.m., keeping moving forward. Again, I'm moving this very slowly, even into the early afternoon. Look at that warm wedge going all the way up toward the Sutton area, toward even Clarksburg. Meanwhile, all of southern Ohio, again, enveloped in heavy snow for the most part, with the exception of, let's say, southern Lawrence County, southern Gallia County. And then the cold air makes its way back into the area. We change back to all snow by the time we head into Monday morning and even Sunday evening here. And a quick couple of inches of snow is to be expected on the back side of this system before everything finally does exit as we're waking up on Monday morning. We're still in line with our forecast. I think I trust what we have, what we came up with yesterday. So still going with a 6 to 8 range for the Huntington area, 4 to 8 for Charleston. I think kind of the middle to the lower end of that 6 to 8 if you're in Huntington. But again, we're going to see some freezing rain. So just because you're seeing lower snow totals doesn't mean you're going to be seeing lower impacts with this storm. 4 to 8 for Charleston. Again, I think the lower range of that 4 to 8 is really going to come true here. 12 to 18 inches of snow. We're still expecting that. If you're up toward the Athens area, if you're down toward MacArthur, northwestern Jackson County, Waverly, Piketon, Raritan, Otway, again, that's going to be a corridor where we're seeing very heavy snow. US 50, Athens, all the way back to Cincinnati, State Route 32 from Athens through Jackson, Waverly, Piketon, all the way to Cincinnati. That's the Appalachian Highway corridor. Very tricky travel because of snow. There's going to be whiteout conditions. There's going to be very slick road conditions here or there. And travel is just really not recommended along those two corridors. Meanwhile, again, as we head further to the south, you're talking 3 to 6 for much of the coal fields here. I do think what we're going to be seeing, though, is a major ice storm down here, and that's going to knock out power for some. And for those of us traveling along I-77 and I-64 out of Beckley, that is really where the ice is going to be at its worst. So we're going to be seeing a crippling ice storm on the other side of the Appalachians, basically from Beckley all the way down toward the Roanoke area right here, Charlottesville off to the east, and in much of Virginia, very crippling ice storm. They could see up to an inch of ice in far southern West Virginia, parts of Virginia and North Carolina. For us, we're talking maybe about a half an inch of ice at most for a lot of us. In fact, here's a look at our ice map that we're seeing. Up to a half an inch for places like Paintsville, Louisa, up into portions of Cabell County, Logan, down toward Beckley. Lower ice totals the further north and west you go. So up to a quarter inch for Huntington, same thing for Charleston, and then in southern Ohio, pretty minor impacts from the ice. But if you're in this deep pink area, this is where we are very concerned for power outs and the potential of major impacts from an ice storm here, which is going to cause issues, especially with an Arctic air mass that will be headed its way into the area by the time we head into Tuesday. I want to take a look now at our cameras down in parts of Tennessee and Arkansas here. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to pull up some various cameras in the Memphis area here where you can see this is what is headed our way. Again, snow-covered roads. Yeah,
that's a lot.
That is a lot of snow on the ground. And again, you know, those reports were talking 2 inches of snow, and this was 5 hours ago. So we're likely seeing probably 4, 5, maybe even 6 inches on the ground here. But I want you to notice the nature of these roads that are snow-covered roads. Now, they don't necessarily have the same resources we have in our area as far as clearing the roads down in Tennessee, but still, I mean, that is quite a bit of snow, lowered visibility here. This would be State Route 385 at Hacks Crossing in Memphis here. I want to pull up another camera. This is State Route 385. Again, these are freeways, not necessarily interstates, but that's tricky travel down there in the Memphis area. Let's pull up another interstate here. This is I-240. And even the interstates, snow-covered. Again, they don't have necessarily the same resources that we have down there, but still very snow-covered roadways. Let's take a look at Arkansas. This is
Nick, just very briefly, that last camera you showed, I mean, you can even see that obviously it hasn't really been treated, but you can see some slush on the road there too.
Right, for sure, and that's a very slippery situation down there indeed, because they're likely getting freezing rain at this point as well.
Gotcha.
All right, so this is a road, this is Interstate 57 in Arkansas. Again, you can't even tell where the lane lines are. The good news is I'm not seeing too many people on these cameras out and about, so they listen to the meteorologists down there in Arkansas, so there's some good news. And again, Mississippi, this camera I pulled up because you can see a glaze of ice here on the camera. This is US 61, and that is the result of freezing rain. Again, that's heavy freezing rain falling in that general area. Let's go up to the south side of Memphis. And again, similar situations where the roads are just snow covered. So that is the kind of weather that's headed our way starting this evening, going into the morning hours of tomorrow. So this is when really the time, Shannon, where people should be traveling and getting everything they need to get done now, because let's say 6 hours from now, travel's not going to be recommended.
Nick, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier with people getting out today. You know, you were kind of saying your deadline to get out and about to, you know, make sure you have milk, eggs, whatever. You know, obviously there's some people that have to do this last minute shopping because of their work schedules, what have you. But does it appear that time is 6 o'clock? You're saying that you just need to be home preferably at that point?
Yes, especially if you're further to the south. I think if you're down in Pikeville, Prestonsburg, even toward the Beckley area, Logan area, Williamson, that's where the heaviest snow is going to start more rapidly. So by 6 p.m., down into the coal fields. Really, travel's not recommended. Now, it'll be a lighter snow further to the north, so it might be doable, especially during the early evening hours up along the I-64 corridor and in southern Ohio. But once that sun sets, things are really going to ramp up over the area and not make for very great travel. So, again, I recommend everybody just kind of, once that sun sets, just be at home, hunker down, and enjoy some relaxation time while the weather outside's just pretty crazy at this point. So
yeah, watch it out the window, right? I mean, you know, it's one of those things where you want to get a cozy blanket, maybe a heated blanket, some hot chocolate. In my case, some warm water to help with the throat. But definitely one of those things where at least it sounds like what you guys have been saying all week, Nick, is the crews will have some time to clear these roads before the next event starts. That being said, though, it's going to be very tricky to navigate those roads, especially with them being icy. So if you don't have to be, if you're not working or have to be out on the roads, definitely want to avoid them at all this weekend.
Yeah, and I would say, too, a lot of those rural areas, they don't get touched by the plows. We're not going to get above freezing at all next week. So it's going to take some time for this to melt away and make roads passable in those rural areas. And that's going to add another layer to this. If we get a major ice storm, which we're expecting into the coal fields of eastern Kentucky and West Virginia, and your power goes out, you are going to have to find a way to stay warm. I said this multiple times yesterday, because if your power goes out and we're dealing with negative actual air temperature lows, which are to be expected Monday night into Tuesday morning, with a little wind that feels like -10 to -15, by the way, you're going to run into some major issues. Find a way to stay warm, whether it be getting that generator ready, making sure you have everything battery-powered, heater, battery-powered, let's say a space heater, or if you need to, just go somewhere else outside of the ice storm area, maybe a little bit further to the north. Even if they're getting more snow up there, the ice is going to be the major concern here for power outages. And again, without a way to heat your home, you're going to run into some major issues Monday night into Tuesday with how cold those temperatures are going to get.
Yeah, and you got to make sure you got to charge your phone too. A lot of phones nowadays, Nick, too, they have like a low power setting.
Right.
So you definitely want to use that so that it conserves the battery if you happen to be out of power and can't get out where you are. But you want to be able to be able to talk to loved ones, check in on loved ones that might need to some extra help and whatnot, and make sure you're telling your family that you are safe in the midst of this. Nick, I know you are still having to update your forecasts and stuff, and I know we're going to be doing some more coverage here on the WSAZ Plus test. So I'm going to let you go so you can get to that, and we will be back here around 2 o'clock to get you another update. But thanks so much, Nick, and thank you so much for joining us here on the WSAZ Plus test. Please stay safe out there.